Hello, friends. This is an attempt to discuss about how to submit a project proposal, specifically with respect to social science subject. Many of my friends often ask me, how to go about by submitting a project proposal to different agencies. So I thought if I make a small video like this, it will be useful to all of them. In this video, I've categorized our discussion into two parts. The first part, we would be having a general overview on how to go about with a project proposal submission. And the second part, I'll show you the general structure that is involved in a project proposal. So let's start with the first one. When we take up the project calls, there are broadly two types of project calls. One is it is open throughout the year. That is, there is no due date as such like that. At any time, you can go and submit the project proposal. And the evaluation, of course, the evaluation committee, they will take up the proposals at regular intervals, maybe quarterly, every 3 months, every 4 months, depending on that particular agency. So that is first type of call. The second one is specific call. Here, we do not have the freedom to submit as and when we want. We have to wait for the call, and once the call is issued, we can submit it before the due date. So for example, maybe a call is open on April 1st of 2020, and we would be given like 2 months time. By June 30th, we have to submit the proposal. So likewise, we have two types of calls. That then someone might ask, how do we know that? There is only one way. We have to keep alert. We have to search for. We have to be, really looking into, because there are certain agencies that regularly make calls, project calls, like UGC, ICSSR, DST, ASCT. All these agencies regularly make project calls. Okay, that's about the type of project calls. Now coming to the procedures. See, generally, the first step is we have to submit the project proposal. And the second stage is the committee will review our project proposals, and the selected PIs, principal investigators of projects which they have finalized to the next stage, will be called for an interview at their headquarters. In almost all the premier institutions offering project funding do this. They invite the researchers to their headquarters, and they will ask them to make a presentation about their short presentation about their proposed work in front of the review panel. And the panel will be very critical. In many cases, they will ask many questions which may not be related to that particular project proposal. But ultimately, out of my experience, what I understand is it is for testing us, whether we are competent enough, whether we are confident enough to implement that project. That's all. So we just have to take it in that way only. So there are two stages. First stage is we submitting the proposal, and the next stage is once our project proposal clears the first stage, we will be called for a interview, personal interview. Maybe if two of us have submitted, it is not mandatory that both of us have to attend the interview. PI can go and attend the interview. And finally, the final list will be published out of this selected persons. So this is the general procedure. So first is we will have to submit the proposal, and then selected people will be called for an interview. Then many of my friends often ask me what all we should prepare when we are going for an interview. See, maybe I have gone for 6 to 7 interviews. And my experience is, in certain cases, I have gone with a presentation. They did not even make me present that. They just asked me a few questions, and if they are not sure, they have read our proposal very carefully, and some of the areas they might be having doubt. Why is this? Why you opted for that particular tool? Or why are you going with that methodology? So for those areas, they will pose the questions, and that's all. But in certain cases, they made me present the entire thing. Then they started with asking questions. In many cases, it has even lasted for 30 to 40 minutes. So it depends, depending on the situation. But however, we have to be prepared for anything. We have to be prepared with no, the complete methodology part, the complete review part, all these. Because if you are not sure, then of course we will not gain in our interview. So that is a general procedure. And as I understand, the evaluation criteria for all the project proposals are basically based on four major factors. First and primary one is strength of our proposal. How far we are able to bring some novelty in our idea. Because there would be a lot of people, if a project proposal is being made in India, maybe they will get a call, a proposal from 10,000 to 15,000 to 20,000. In many cases, it will exceed that also. So for them to select the right one is a difficult task. So they will not tolerate if our proposal is not competent enough, if our proposal does not have some kind of novelty. So that is why the strength of the proposal is the primary aspect of judging whether the project should be awarded or not. Now, how should we make that proposal? We will discuss in the second part. The second one is credibility about the investigator. See, if the committee has recommended 10 proposals, the review panel has recommended 10 proposals, and the agency can award only 5, and 10 proposals in no way cannot be considered for that particular year. So generally the second thing they will look at is what is the credibility of this particular person. Has he or she published good works? Has he done some work in the similar area? Does he have some kind of experience in publishing in Scopus Index or ABDC journals? What is his track record? Is he a passionate researcher? Looking at our profile itself, they will understand whether we are a passionate researcher. Because if we are a passionate researcher, we would have published a lot. Maybe we would have published some books. Maybe we would have undertaken many small projects. All these things. So that's why the second important factor here is credibility. In that credibility, the primary importance is given to our experience connected with the area which we proposed. Do we have some kind of experience in the area we have proposed as a project? If you do not have an experience, we are completely new to that, we are in a tough position. We really have to prove that we are going to do it. Right. So that is the second factor which they will consider when they are evaluating the project proposal. The third is, of course, the merit of our institution. No, that is a great factor here in many of the evaluation process. Whether our institution is having some credibility, whether if our institution is having enough facility for undertaking that project, all these would be checked or looked upon as an important factor. And the next factor is they will take what is the expected outcome of this project. They will look in if so much of fund is being awarded to this particular person to do the project, what can be the possible benefits for the society, for the country, for the community. It's not that they are giving us money to improve ourselves or maybe to value our own uh, resume or our own career ambitions. It's not that. They definitely will be looking into how far this can be used for the benefit of the common people. So everywhere when we are submitting the proposal, the outcome of our work is very important. If it is very much skewed to a particular group of people, then we will have a difficult situation. As far as possible, we have to see that the output of our project is concrete. It is going to bring a definite change in the existing scenario. This is very important with respect to social science, because in scientific researchers, you are going to do that inside a lab, you are going to do a test, you are proving it. Maybe that will not be the final answer. Here also, you cannot give a final answer to any of the solutions in social science research, but the aspect which we have to understand is there should be a definite outcome which is as a result of our project. So this is the general overview of what are the things we have to take care when we are looking for submitting a project proposal, especially in the social science area. Okay, let's start the second part of our discussion from this question. Because if we properly understand this question, we should be in a position to draft our research proposal in the right way. The question here on the screen is, what is the basic purpose of research proposal and why is it so important? Over the years, what I have understood is it is used to establish whether there is expertise to support your proposed area of research. That is, expertise can be in the form of resources, it can be in the form of competency of the researcher, it can be in the form of the competency of the host institution of the researcher. It also is helped, or it will also help in establishing whether there is any novelty, whether there is any concrete contribution which could be made by this particular proposal. It is just part of the application process. In fact, the research proposal, what we submit as part of our application, is just a starting point. Always I have experienced this. It's just a starting point, because as we evolve, as we progress in our research work, our ideas are going to evolve into new areas. The preliminary part which we have formulated while submitting the proposal is just a framework. We will move from that to different areas as we progress in our work. But this starting point is very important for us to be awarded with this project. So we have to be very careful in establishing that we have necessary expertise to support the proposed work. That's the importance of a proposal. Now, the next question, which always, including my research scholars, my friends, everyone asks me is, how long should my research proposal be? There is no final answer to this. But in the normal case, they expect a proposal to be like 3 to 4 pages, like 2,500 to 3,500 words. Some will specify that we need 3 pages, we need 4 pages. Some might say that your word count should not exceed 7,000 words. Likewise, if they do not say anything, just stick to 3 pages. Nobody is going to read 10 pages or spend that much time for you. So if we can establish, what they believe is, if we can establish our idea as crispy, as short, as brief as possible, that means we are well versed in that. That is a general understanding when we submit a proposal. So what we can be very careful is, it should not be too short, it should not be too brief, but it should be up to like 3 to 4 pages, like a word count of 3,500. Now let's move on to the actual structure of a research proposal. Now when I'm discussing, I will also, just as an example, I'll take the proposal which I had submitted to Reserve Bank of India, which was awarded to me. I had completed the project also. So that maybe it will be helpful for you to understand when I say hypothesis, some idea will be there to understand it if I caught my hypothesis into that. So that's how I'm planning to do it. Now, this is actually, I have put in each box the different components what we should have in a research proposal. It is not mandatory, but this is the general structure of a research proposal which is submitted for a funding. Okay, let's take with the first box, that is title. What I can suggest about a title is, the title should give a clear indication of your proposed research approach or the key question. I have seen some of the researchers framing very long title. Maybe if you write that in a page of paper, it will come to like 3 rows. So I don't advise for such a long title. What I suggest is, titles should be explanatory enough to understand the area of research. So for example, my project for RBI was Digital Financial Inclusion in Rural India. That's my proposed area. Then I just put it like this: finding linkages between digital financial services, financial literacy, and financial inclusion. So I have also indicated the 3 variables which I am going to study in my research. That is, the first I gave an indication that I'm going to study about digital financial inclusion. Then I said I'm going to conduct that in rural India. I'm excluding urban India in my study. Again, I identified my 3 variables which I would be using in my study. So when an evaluator takes up the title, he should be in a position to understand, okay, this research belongs to this area. And he should have some kind of expectation when he looks into the title of a research proposal. So as far as possible, your title should be specific, clear, and brief. Okay. Now coming to the next part, statement of key research questions. In fact, this is, I would suggest, this is the most important area of a research proposal. If you are able to establish your research questions properly, it is like 3/4 done. You are through with that, because what a researcher is trying to study should be directly related to these research questions. For example, you have heard what is my title. I'm just going to read the kind of research questions which have phrase for the frame for my study, for this study which I'm referring to. See, the first research question I had put it is, what is the acceptability for digital financial services offered to rural customers in India on the basis of its process and affordability? So I'm having a doubt, because we are going for a digital revolution. So we are bringing new services. I want to know whether they are acceptable to the rural customers. I want to know whether these services is affordable to the rural customers. So I have put that as my primary research question. Right? Then the second question which I had put for that study is, what are the factors that influence the demand for digital financial services among rural customers? Suppose I find that the rural customers are okay with, they are accepting, then the next thing which I have to understand is, how can you, if acceptability is low or high, I should understand what are the factors that are leading to the acceptability of this digital financial services. So I have brought that as my second point, second question, research question. And the third one, what I put is, what is the effect of this digital services, financial services, on financial inclusion of banks in India? I just moved that for the benefit of financial institution. So there are 2 benefits. One is, I would like to know what is the acceptability of banking services, financial services offered to rural customers, whether that is beneficial to the rural customers. So that group is benefited. The second I had put it as, how, whether the banks are able to achieve the target of financial inclusion by offering these services. So there is another target group who could be benefited by my study. So you see how I have expanded. I expanded that to the entire rural community as well as to the financial institutions. So that is actually the breadth of my study. Right. And the last, I also try to establish a model. That was my fourth research question. Will financial literacy of the beneficiary influence the acceptability of digital financial services? So that's a model which I'm trying to propose through this study. That is, if the financial literacy of the rural customers is high, can it have an impact on the acceptability of the financial services? So this is actually a general guideline for the regulators, for the government bodies. See, there are 3 groups who are benefited out of my study. That is, the first group is rural customers, the second group is financial institutions, and the third group is policy framework, which I can give it to the government bodies and other regulators. So that's how I have broadened the breadth. So this is actually the life of my proposal. How far I am able to establish my research questions which can bring answers, which can solve problems of different groups of people. And my objectives should be framed out of this questions, out of this research questions. I hope you are able to follow me. I'm just trying to explain this with an example. I'm just going to read the objectives which I had framed for this study. First, I just gave a general objective to understand the landscape of digital financial services in India. That's a general question, basically to understand. Then, to evaluate the various digital financial services on the basis of their process, usability, and affordability to rural customers in India. I already said how far it is acceptable, how far it is affordable, how far it is usable. So I'm going to evaluate this through my object. The same, the research questions, I put that as my objectives. Then I said to generate evidence for policymakers, financial institutions, and digital service providers on demand factors that can influence the use of digital financial services among rural customers. So I expanded that my project is going to help evidence. It's going to give evidence for the policymakers. Then I also said this is going to bring a model. That was my fourth objective, to examine the effect of digital financial services on financial inclusion of banks. So that's a model. That's a model which I'm trying to propose. And finally, the fifth objective. I have used a technical term, a statistical term. That's okay. If you do not go with it, that's okay. But I'm just going to read: to analyze the mediating role of financial literacy in the established relationship between digital financial services and financial inclusion. I'm trying to study whether financial literacy is having some influence on the relationship between digital financial services and financial inclusion. So as I said earlier, research questions should broaden the breadth of our study. It should at least be, it is not possible for every research, it is not possible to bring so many beneficiaries into our study. But for this study, I could do that because the nature of the study was like that. But at least you have to remember that there should be some one or two groups who can be clearly identified as a beneficiary of your project proposal. That will be the breadth of the research proposal. Or in my language, that is the life of our project proposal. Right. I hope you're able to follow me. If that is done, then our task is over. The rest is all we are just building on the framework. We already have the framework with us. Now we are going to say the next part, I put it here, is importance of research topic and research question. It's very clear. Here in my research questions itself, I said this is going to help to understand how far this financial services are beneficial for the rural customers. I also said this will help banks to understand whether this is helping them to increase the financial inclusion, whether digital services which they are offering is reaching for increasing the target group of the rural customers. So to bring them under the category of financial, the customers enjoying the financial benefits from the banks. Is it possible? Or under the broad umbrella of financial inclusion? That's one band. And again, the third aspect is the importance lies in this research is I'm trying to establish a model. I'm trying to find out whether financial literacy is having some kind of impact on the relationship between digital financial services offered by banks and the financial inclusion. Whether financial literacy can increase the benefits of this digital financial services to increase the target of financial inclusion. So these three, it's very clear if we can lay down that in our question. So that's the importance of our research topic or research question. We just have to explain it. That's all. It's already there in our research question. Now, The next part, which is very important for a funding project, often researchers do not care about it. Research, review of literature and theoretical background. See, if you are not so good in, or if you are a beginner in the research, what we do is we search from some other sources, from one or two sources. We just quote some research, literatures as our review. We stop by that. But from a reviewer's angle, first thing they will be looking at, out of my experience, is the kind of reviews done by this researcher. Have the researcher taken the pain to review the best published articles in this area? Is it being quoted as a literature referred in this for this proposal? Because that says the depth or understanding of the researcher, whether the researcher is passionate about this topic, whether the researcher is keeping a track of development in this area of research. So that's why the reviewers first will be looking into what sort of literature review is being done by this researcher. It should be relevant, it should be latest, and it should be something which is accepted all over the world. So as far as possible, you should take it from the Scopus Indexed or ABDC journals, and those research studies which have got a lot of citations, that says that that work is acceptable. So likewise, we have to be very careful in deciding what will be the references which you're quoting in our proposal. I did not understand this during my early days when I was trying to apply for proposals or not. But later, after talking to many people, after being part of review panel, I understand the importance of literature review. So be careful when we choose the literature review part for our proposal. If it is an international, double check it, or if possible, it should be perfect. It should be perfect than the proposal. I would suggest that, right? And the next is a model which may not be applicable to exploratory category or general category of research. But here, as I said, I had a model. I was trying to see what is the role of financial literacy in the relationship between digital financial services as well as a financial inclusion. That was a model. But it is not mandatory that you have to have a model. But if it is a long project having like 3 to 4 years, normally an expectation is that this could bring some kind of model, some kind of tested model as an outcome. And hypothesis is nothing but an assumption. What would be? It's an assumption of the researcher about the study. It's based on the proposal. See here, in this project, I had assumed that there is a relationship between financial risk. That was my alternative hypothesis. I'm not going detail into that research areas. You have two type of hypothesis, null hypothesis and alternative hypothesis. Normally, in the research proposal, we give the alternative hypothesis, which says that the alternative hypothesis say the anticipation of the researcher. In my research, I said there is a relationship between digital financial services, financial literacy, and financial inclusion. Or I said financial literacy is mediating. I'll just read out that. Maybe you will have an idea. But I think hypothesis is not simple to explain in 1 or 2 lines. But you can go do an in-depth study after this. And it is not mandatory that all the research should have, but if it is an analytical or review research, it should have, exploratory research, it should have an, I correct, evaluative research or analytical research, it should have a hypothesis testing. So the hypothesis which I formulated for the study which I was referring is digital financial services is having a positive impact on financial inclusion of rural population. That's my expectation. So I had laid down that as my alternative hypothesis. The second which I have formulated was the process involved in the digital delivery of digital financial services has a significant positive impact on the acceptability among rural population. I try to establish a relationship between the process and acceptability. I said if banks are offering that through the right channel in the right way, it can have better acceptability among the rural population. Then I also said the affordability of digital financial services has a significant positive impact on acceptability among rural population. That's again another objective which I had laid down. I said if it is affordable, it will have better acceptability among the rural customers. Then the final, which was based on my model, I said financial literacy of beneficiaries has a significant positive impact on the acceptability of digital financial services. That's my model. And the last one is financial literacy of the beneficiaries mediates the relationship between digital financial services and financial inclusion. That was my expectation when I proposed my research questions. So this is hypothesis all about. Now, I said the most important part of our research is statement of the research question and the literature review. That's in the preliminary part. But if our proposal is qualified to the next round, that is, if our proposal is being selected to the next round and we are called for the interview, then the most important part would be methodology part. Methodology is nothing but how are we going to implement this project? How are we going to progress in this project? If we are not sure in this, I doubt whether we will be awarded with the project, because that is where we have to be very careful if our project got qualified to the second round. I do not mean that it's not important at the time of drafting. It is important, but it becomes more important when we are called for a presentation in the funding agency's head office. And what should be the part of, or what all should be part of research methodology? First is we should have a design, research design. It's nothing but what is the pattern of our research? What are the ways in which we are going to collect sample? How much is our sample? How are we going to analyze the sample? What are the methods which we will adopt for selecting the sample? All this should be part of our methodology. So it should have a sample design. It should talk about the data collection instrument. It should also talk about the possible data analysis tool. That's not so important at the time of submitting the proposal, because we cannot decide what would be the appropriate tool for analyzing the data before collecting. So that's not so important, but we have to give some proposed tools which could be used for analyzing our data. Right. So that's about methodology. Methodology part is, are we in a position to implement that properly? Do we have a clarity regarding the implementation of this project? That's methodology. So when sharing my experience, I'll say when I went for presentation of this project itself, I had nearly like all the panel members were asking questions only about methodology part. They were asking, how are you going to identify the rural customers? How are you going to prove whether financial literacy is accurate, or how are you going to rank the financial literacy level of your sample, right, or your respondents? Then another question which I never thought, which was very difficult for me, I said I'm going to collect the data from self-help groups meeting. So then they asked me, then suppose if they are just leaving without answering your questionnaire because they do not they are not well versed. I said I'm going to explain about this data collection method, the purpose and all, then only I will collect data from them. Suppose if they are not willing to fill your questionnaire, if they are not ready, how are you going to manage this? How will you get feedback from the rural customers if they are not willing to answer to your questions? So likewise, the questions are, it can be starting from simple question to very complex questions. But our answer should be such that we have already done this project. We should be so sure about the implementation part. Like, we have already done this project. Our answering should be so accurate. It may not be right. Later, at a later stage, we might feel that we could have answered that question in this way. Fine, but our preparation part should be 100%. Then we will be able to overcome that situation. Right. And the next is potential contribution. I already said how it is going to help. You can identify how it is going to help the government, how it is going to help the funding agency, how it is going to help your host institution. If you want, you can categorize. For some of the projects, I had categorized like that. But for submitting for Indian agencies and all, you just have to find out how it is going to help the general community, regulators, or you can say how it is going to help you as a researcher. All these things can be mentioned for the potential contribution. Again, you will have to mention what is the real output of your project. We can say that I'm planning to bring a book out of mine, or maybe I'm going to write or prepare a report which needs to be submitted to the government as a proposal. Or maybe in this project I said I'm going to prepare a report which could be submitted to the regulatory bodies, because it was RBI, they wanted a report to be prepared. And in many cases we can also say that I'm going to publish the findings in an ABC category of journal. It depends upon the type of funding and the nature of funding, but there should be some kind of potential contribution that is coming out of our research. Nobody will give us fund just for the benefit of the development of the project investigator. That benefit should be shared with the community, should be shared with the host institution. So that should be reflected in our proposal. Another thing is time frame. Time frame, if it is a foreign agency, be very sure about the time frame which we submit. We just say that 2 to 3 months, 4 to 5 months, like that. If you say that, they may not be satisfied with such type of time frame. They want exactly how long, at least a general guideline should be there. How long is our preliminary investigation? How long we will take for submitting the pilot study? How long we are going to go with our research data collection? How long we are going to go with our final analysis? And when can we submit the final report? Likewise, our entire stages, each of the stage need to be split into different different segments, and then it has to be expressed in months. Generally in months we express like 1 to 2 months for data collection. Likewise, that needs to be given as a time frame in our research proposal. And the budget, depending on the budget, suppose if the agency has said a cap of 20 lakh, okay, general mistake which is done by the researchers, anyway they are giving 20 lakhs, so let's shoot our fund to 20 lakhs. No, that will not be given. They will look at the genuinity of the requirement, and normally they do not give for buying. No, they do not, and they give in normal case they give, but normally they do not encourage buying capital assets like laptops or printers, scanners, because they can understand that nowadays every researcher would be having all these basic facilities. Or you have to establish that it is a big funded project which requires too many people as research associates and assistants, so you do not have that much facilities, so you want funding for purchase of capital assets also. Likewise, so the research budget should clearly indicate each and every rupee spent in your project. I cannot just give a brief summary. I have to say that my expense towards publication is 20,000. I have to say that my expense towards it may not be accurate. That's okay. But you're giving a boundary, you're giving a borderline of how far you expect and what is the expected expenditure for conducting this research proposal. That is also an integral part of our research proposal. Right. This is a general idea about a research proposal. Further, if you have any doubt, I'm happy to clear that. And another thing which I have learned over the years, I have never submitted similar research proposals to different agencies. Every time when I prepare a research proposal, I try to bring some kind of novelty, some kind of innovative idea in that, because that makes our proposal different from the others. So that is why I always, it's all through the reading, understanding, talking to experts, like that. But that is the secret behind success in awarding or in getting a research proposal. Our proposal should not be like others. There should be some ingredient that makes our project stand out, and I believe that that is the secret for getting funding. And it's not a continuous process. I maybe when I get 5 projects, I might have had applied for 500. So it's not mandatory that all the proposals we apply we are going to get, but keep on trying. All my best wishes. Thank you.